Guys of a Certain Age is brought to you by no one. Absolutely no one. Except these dudes walking down memory lane. Now let's head to the studio to see what they misremember next.
It's the podcast of merriment and whimsy. It's Guys of a Certain Age. Robbie Koblenz in studio alongside
Jay Reed. Yeah, it's definitely not choreography and merriment because we don't dance.
Yeah, that's why I was saying whimsy.
Yeah, the whimsy's much better.
Yeah. Well, we don't dance, kind of like Genesis doesn't dance. You remember I Can't Dance?
Yeah.
The album, We Can't Dance, We Can't Talk. I think that was the last Genesis album with Phil Collins in it.
Well,
so...
yeah, I would not know that sort of thing.
Yeah, well, I think it was.
I just enjoy the music.
You're just here for the music, so. All right, well, look, we're going to talk a few different things. Maybe, I always say it's going to be a shorter episode, but I always lie about that. So let's jump into Geeks of the Week. Who would like to go first?
Cricket.
Let's see, where's the cricket? Is it crickets?
There you go.
Jay, would you like to go
first?
I'll
go first this time, and we'll just see if Art shows up, right?
I'll turn off the cricket noises.
Yeah, so I saw this clip. I don't even know how I ended up seeing this. I think it was random news headline, but there's some kind of meeting you probably knew about, the GTC.
No.
It has something to do with AI. It's kind of like the big Disney meeting or the big Comic-Con, but it has to do with AI. So Nvidia did a big presentation, and as a part of that, he brought out
he being the CEO of Nvidia.
CEO, Jensen Huang, something like that?
Sure.
Okay. So he comes out, and he's talking about all the things they're doing, and one of the things they're doing is a partnership with Google DeepMind, which scares me, and Disney. And they have created a droid that is real. I mean, it came out, it looked around, it didn't talk, it beeped like droids do on Star Wars. But listen, just a little clip, and I'm going to say words that I don't know what they mean, but it's some sort of physics engine, whatever that means. The word Newton was thrown around. I think that's the name of the model or whatever. It's a robot learning model. So just to hear the guy, this was a Disney guy describing it, how they basically taught it to walk. Like it learned to walk using a combination of some kind of learning and animation that it was following. And so it interacted with the guy. He would say, go stand over there, and he would waddle over and stand it was a little short, little two-legged robot droid, whatever you want to call it. But they're talking about putting them in the Disney parks by the end of this year.
So that's where Skynet's going to come from. It's from Disney.
From Disney. Oh. So, I mean, cute. Wow. Wild, crazy, what does this mean next? And he was talking, I heard just a little clip of his speech, and he was talking about, or maybe I was reading about what he said, and he was talking about how, we have reached an age where, computing is about to take a giant turn.
It's
because of AI.
It's exponential at this point.
Yeah, that's more or less what he was saying. But the robots are cute. This one's name was Blue, and
that's how it all starts.
It said it has emotion, anger, shyness. It can laugh. Those kinds of.
Did we not learn anything from Terminator?
Well, yeah, and I went down kind of a rabbit hole because
Skynet was supposed to have flipped the switch a couple of years ago. So I'm sorry.
Go ahead. Well, I just kind of went down a little rabbit hole as far as other robots, and there's a lot out there that's about to explode, I think.
Let's see. According to Terminator, Skynet became self-aware August 29 of 1997. So 30 years later, yeah. Wow. Just wow. I don't know.
If you need to go watch the clip, if you haven't seen it, you need to watch the clip.
I don't know. I don't know that I want to see that. That's a little creepy. So,
well, creepy, cute, whatever. It's It's there.
Yeah, and it's coming for us. How much do you use ChatGPT much at all?
Zero. We didn't even know where to start with it.
I've used it to refine copy. I've used it to help start writing. And ChatGPT definitely has a flavor and a style. It's been helpful in a few things, and a few things like
and I don't know if ChatGPT was involved in this or not, but my mom, we got a new dog about 6 or 8 months ago, and my mom sent us a book. Just got it off on Amazon, how to train your Yorkshire Terrier or whatever. And I got about 2 chapters in and realized it was written by AI.
Yeah.
And because it was just poorly written.
Yeah.
And it was like repetitive. It did have some facts in it that I'd learned.
Yeah.
But I couldn't even finish the book. I was like, I can't even get through this. So I think but it'll improve. I mean, that will improve.
I think it will, but it's also it's really scary. And
people are kind of up in arms. That's one thing I read last night, like 400 big deal Hollywood types that sent some letter to the Trump administration, complaining that, AI and GPT were using the same thing we talked about before. They were using material that didn't belong to them.
That's
to train.
right.
Yeah.
So there's been Adobe has created some AI additions to their programs, like Photoshop, Illustrator, a little bit in Premiere, but it's more difficult to do moving video. And I guess I need to recharge your little light there. And there's been speculation. There was concern that Adobe would use files that you upload for client approval to their Frame.io service, would use files to train their AI bots. And Adobe came out and clarified, no, we're not going to do that. Even though it says we can, we're not going to do that to you. So there's a lot of concern in the creative fields about, man, you can generate some decent stock images where you don't have to go out and shoot a thing.
Oh, gosh, I'm sure. Yeah.
From a photographer standpoint.
Well, just to watch on Instagram, you see stuff coming through on this using AI, and it's again, it's cute but scary.
Scary but cute. Scary but cute. So, you know what else is scary and not necessarily cute? Losing $1 billion a year on a business. Guess who's losing $1 billion a year on their streaming service?
I haven't.
Apple.
Really?
According to a report in Variety yesterday, as we're recording, Apple's losing over $1 billion a year on Apple TV Plus, and they have 45 million subscribers. Now, Apple has, Apple generated $391 billion in revenue last year. Okay. So losing $1 billion, they made a profit of $93.7 billion in fiscal 2024. Losing $1 billion is, $1 billion here, $1 billion there. Now we're talking real money. When you look at the fact they've only got 45 million subscribers at $5 a pop a month. So what is that? That's 200 million a year. 200 million a month, 250 million a month. You're talking what, 2.5, close to let me do the math. What is that?
Is it just $5 a month?
Yeah.
Okay.
I think it's $6 a month. So let's do the math. 45 million, add a zero, add a zero, add a zero. 45 million times $6 times 12 means they are making $270 million a year if everybody's paying a subscription versus a comp subscription. So if that means they're spending probably 1.3 to 1.4 billion a year on
the content is significant,
and then the infrastructure. So think about that.
I can't think about that. I live in the real world. Where
this is real money.
It's real money, but
basically, I'm going to spend $100 to make to lose $97, or no, I'm going to spend $103 to get $3 back.
Mm-hmm. So what's the end game in that? What's the value of it later?
No idea. I don't know.
They just wanted to play too. I want to be in the sandbox too. So let's do it.
I guess so. I don't know. I mean, it's not.
It's not like we needed the content.
It's not that we needed the content, and it's not driving hardware sales. Mm-hmm. You can watch Apple TV Plus on any device now. You don't have to have an Apple TV box, which is how it was originally pushed out. You may or may not remember the only way that you could do iTunes was on an iPod that was Mac only. Mm-hmm. And so that pushed a few people into the Mac ecosystem. Then Steve Jobs realized we've got to open it up to Windows, and then it exploded. So I don't know what the end game is, but we're going to talk. Sorry, Art. We're going to talk Severance second half, the season 2 finale, and Severance. It was announced that there will be a season 3. It's been renewed. They waited till.
It's got to be.
Well,
we'll get to that.
If you're losing $1 billion a year, there may not be.
Yeah,
I mean, Netflix killed.
Maybe not a season 3 of Severance, but not a season of anything.
Yeah, exactly. Severance has got to be one of the most expensive shows to make.
I could see that, and yet some of it is. Well, we'll get to that in a minute.
Yeah. So,
but think about, Ted Lasso is on there, the morning show. All those.
Yeah, there's a lot of money spent.
And some very good shows.
Their hits have been huge, but there's so much content in there you don't hear about.
Yeah.
What was it? Wolves, the movie with Brad Pitt Wolves, and George Clooney, which we enjoyed. I think we all enjoyed, but it was not promoted very well. And so the upcoming F1 movie with Brad Pitt from the guy who directed Maverick and Twisters. No, he didn't direct Twisters. He just did Maverick, Top Gun Maverick. That is an Apple film, but it's going to debut in cinema. And I guarantee you the only place you're going to be able to stream it is Apple TV Plus. So spending a lot of money on that one too.
Yeah, I'm sure.
Have you seen any of the trailers for it?
Well, maybe not in a while.
They just dropped a new one. That's probably the movie I'm most excited about. More so than Fantastic Four, I think.
Okay.
So,
well, you're a big F1 guy.
Yeah. I like F1 quite a bit. So, but anywho, Apple TV, $1 billion a year down the drain.
Wow.
Yeah.
I can't even wrap my mind around that.
Yeah, it's crazy. It's absolutely crazy. So, it's kind of it's so stupid you're spending a lot of money. So, but anywho. All right, we're going to take a break. We're going to wrap up Severance Season 2 up next. All right. Severance Season 2 is over with. You and I watched it both last night. What time did you watch it last night?
Well, I sat down. It was probably I finished it about 9:30.
See, I finished it about 10:30.
Yeah, see, I sat down to watch the 9th episode, and I realized that, it always says coming Friday, but then I'd heard you guys say that it actually came out on Thursday. So I really hadn't planned to watch the finale last night. It just went to the next episode, and there it was. So I thought, well, I've been standing on my feet all day. I'm just going to sit here and finish watching this, and I'm glad I did. Yeah, it's so very different than I was expecting. I had no expectations really, but it was good.
I liked it quite a bit. I was confused. So let's walk through it. So you have
spoilers.
Yeah, spoilers.
Big time spoilers.
And Art, you and I will talk about this later. You've got Mark Innie and Mark Audi having a conversation about the end game. And I thought that was incredibly well done. So the idea is Mark is recording himself on a little digital camcorder, playing it back like he will record his Audi self talking to his Innie, The innie plays it back, then records a response, and then Mark steps outside of this cabin where he becomes an outie again.
Basically like the elevator.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And this goes on and on and on as they're trying to have this conversation, and the innie personality manifests itself and basically advocates for itself that it doesn't want to die. And the outie personality of Mark, who's been there longer, basically says, no, I own you, you know, and we'll integrate you in. You're not going to go away.
And I'll take care of you.
Yeah. And so it's a fascinating conversation because it turns out that his wife is alive, as we found out this season. She's part of experiments, and the 25th experiment is Cold Harbor. And once Cold Harbor, the data refinement for Cold Harbor is done, then she will be disposed of. She will be killed because Lumen has no more need for her. So the entire...
And it sounded almost like all the other innies would be disposed of as well for whatever reason.
So we're seeing some of the Lumen grand plan, and it appears that the idea is to create emotional barriers so that you could take away emotional pain. And Mark and Gemma experienced an incredible pain of losing a child, and it was a miscarriage, but that profoundly affected both of them. And so I'm curious how Gemma ended up in the if someone from Lumen, the doctor who's in charge, came and said, hey, I can help you forget this, come with me, we can make your life better. And, then she ends up in a situation that she didn't bargain for.
Yeah. But we don't know how that happened.
Yeah. So that'd be fascinating to see. But anyway, so the macro data refinement turns out that the 25 scenarios that Mark has been macro data refining, they
all correspond to one of
Gemma's innies.
Rooms, yeah.
Yeah, and each of those rooms is an innie for Gemma. She has 25 innies going on, and so Mark is using his emotional attachment, subconscious emotional attachment, to create the innies for Gemma to experiment upon emotional detachment, and if the barrier between the innie and outie holds, because they're trying to free people from negative, hurtful emotions.
See, I didn't even get all that.
Yeah.
So that makes a lot more sense now.
So the whole idea that the Cold Harbor, which has been worked on since the beginning of the series, is the 25th and final, and it's the most emotional pain that these two people, Gemma and Mark, had experienced with the loss of an unborn child, and that if Gemma could do something that would be incredibly distressing for her outie as a new innie and not have any emotional contamination, then the experiment holds.
Right.
And then at that point, Lumen's done with her. She's gone. She's going to be sacrificed along with a goat.
Yeah.
Which would lead them to the goat and Gemma to the warm embrace of Kier in the afterlife.
Right.
So Mark, Innie, and Outie hatched this plan to get Gemma out. And so basically Innie Mark has to finish data refinement with Heli R's, with Heli's, it's Heli R, right? Yeah.
Heli R, yeah.
Yeah. With Heli's help, and then distract Mr. Milchek while Mark goes to find Gemma.
Down the dark hallway
on the testing floor. And one of the things we found out is Mark's severance is only attached to the severed floor. So when he goes down the elevator to the testing floor, he is his outie. Mm-hmm. He's able to find Gemma, take her out of Cold Harbor, but
where she then recognizes him.
And then they escape. There is the goat scene where what's her face from Game of Thrones, who we saw earlier in the season, I cannot remember her name to save my life. She brings the goat to the big dude.
Okay, yeah, I don't know her.
Yeah, Christine. I can't remember
I
her
was
name.
thinking Sandra Bernhardt is the other woman on the testing floor, right? The one that.
Sure. Yeah, I think it is.
Yeah.
It is. Anyway, so they're preparing this goat for slaughter, and whatever her name is, I need to look it up. She does not want to sacrifice this little baby goat because she's had to do it numerous times. She turns on the Egan, who is ready to finish this thing. Mm-hmm. And then Mark starts banging on the door to try to get in.
Well, she hadn't turned on him until he starts banging on the door. They show like she's about to pull the trigger.
Yeah, to kill the goat, because the spirit of the goat is going to guide Gemma to Kier's arms. How bizarre.
Yeah, that was pretty wild. But it set up an amazing, and this is where, to me, it got, we'll have to back up in a minute because
we didn't even talk about the marching band.
I know. I was going to say that was huge for me when they finished the data refinement, and you got this statue of Kier Egan or whatever,
this animatronic,
right,
yeah,
and he gives a little speech, and then Milchick comes out in the spotlight like it's a game show, and they do this little dialogue, and
so he finishes it. The macro data refinement for Cold Harbor, the lights die, and then iSirius by the Alan Parsons Project starts playing, and smoke starts coming out. And if you recall, back in the 80s and 90s, late 80s, early 90s through the Jordan run, that's how the Chicago Bulls announced the lineup for the Bulls, as they played iSirius. Uh-huh. And with smoke and effects, and the Bulls were ahead of the time with lineups. And so it was you are amazing. You have done this amazing thing. We're going to shower you with adulation.
See, I had a completely different picture. I thought, because they had talked about the innies being done with after this refinement was done, that gas was coming out of the vents, and this was going to be the end. And then all of a sudden, spotlights on the Kier, and then spotlight coming on Milchick and their little interaction. And
so Milchick and Kier had this stand-up routine that gets a little biting.
Yeah,
and I want to know, is that an AI they've developed based upon what they thought Kier's personality was, or what the deal is?
Yeah.
And Milchick has his cards like
it's a script almost.
Like he's Ed McMahon to Kier's Johnny Carson.
Yep. And
they're going back and forth. And then Milchick has to run out, and the band comes in.
Choreography, the Department of Choreography and Merriment.
It's a friggin' marching band that comes in almost HBCU style. Uh-huh. And Milchick is like the drum major. He's got spats on. He's marching around with the mace. I mean, it's almost
doing it well.
And doing it incredibly well. And so this is they're celebrating Mark S.
Yep.
This is part of the celebration.
Mm-hmm.
And then they have the cards that pop up with Mark's face.
His face is like,
we didn't even talk about Mark. Mark S. gets off the friggin' severed elevator, and there's this mural.
A new picture is up, with almost him as like the god of the group. I mean, everybody's looking at him. He's got his eyes closed and kind of raising his arm up. It's bizarre. It's
bizarre. It's almost like a Last Supper type painting.
Mm-hmm.
And then, so Mark S. is being heralded as this savior because he's about to finish this macro data refinement thing.
Right, big day for Lumen, they keep saying.
Yeah, big day, because this is the final. And
you're also kind of getting this vibe, like, which heli is this?
I think it's the Audi heli.
It certainly seemed like it at times, because his dad comes down and tells her he's disappointed in her. And
I used to see the face of Kier in you.
Yeah.
Then
it was really hard to tell which one she was. And maybe we'll find that out in season 3 if there is one.
Well, there is one. It's been announced.
But if they're Apple.
Apple's announced that they're going to do it. This episode was directed by Ben Stiller as well. So it was just absolutely genius. So then we get back to after the band comes in. Mark goes out to save Jenna. Helly and Dylan, they put a vending machine in front of a bathroom door to delay Milchek.
Coming back out. And Dylan's not even supposed to be there.
No.
Dylan tried to resign, but his Audi wouldn't let him because his wife was having an affair
with his
Audi.
With his
Innie, yeah.
But the Audi, no, but if you remember the resignation response, he says, do whatever. I kind of like you
true.
down there.
That is true.
He could walk away. So Dylan's there.
Mm-hmm.
We didn't see Bert. I thought we'd see Bert wade in and do something. I was a little disappointed.
You mean in the building?
Yeah.
Yeah. Well, see, that I noticed this. Now, Dylan kind of threw my theory out a little bit, but you have in a series of acts there, you have Bert and Irvin transitioning. So Irvin kind of leaves he makes a big transition out. Dylan looks like he's making a big transition out. He's resigning. Mark is transitioning to whatever this reintegration is. There's a lot of change in, just seemed like a lot of big transitions were happening at the same time.
Yeah.
Simultaneously. But then Dylan comes back and Miss Wong is sent out to go somewhere. We don't know where or why. She's not happy about it. She has to break her machine, break her little toy. And it's just some difficult scenes.
So,
but you go ahead.
Well, I was going to say, this is like if David Lynch directed The Office with a Pink Floyd soundtrack.
Well, I texted y'all in the middle, like, this is the best soundtrack ever. I was talking about the band.
Yeah.
But at the end, when he's running off with Helly, it...
was it Mel Torme?
I don't know. The music was great, though.
Yeah.
I love the music.
Yeah.
I mean, that part kind of threw me. I knew it was possible. But one thing I noticed, too, and I know as a cinematographic person...
Photographer.
Oh, I mean, right, but I'm thinking, what would the adjutive be? Cinematographer.
Oh, it doesn't matter. You made a board. That's correct.
So
I'm not the only one who does that.
You go from white, blue to black, and then all of a sudden there's this bright red coming in through the blood, and then the red lights. And before it was the red triangle on the elevator, the down elevator, was really the only red in the whole scenario inside the building. And now you've got this whole huge contrast. It gets violent, and so it was exciting there at the end.
So Mark and the Egan rep, who I can't remember his name, they get into a battle, and then he's able to break into Cold Harbor to save Gemma, who does not have any idea who he is. She steps out.
Drummond.
Drummond. She steps out into the hall, and she is now Gemma, sees Mark. They have a reunion. They go to leave. Mark's got to get into the elevator. He goes to the seventh floor. It becomes his innie. And so Mark's innie guides Gemma, gets her outside. Red lights are going everywhere. The first red's introduced there. I mean, the overpowering red, which mimics the blood that's on Mark from the battle with Drummond. Mm-hmm. And then Mark gets Gemma outside and decides, and he has to make a choice between Gemma and Heliar, who's there with him. And he chooses Heliar, the redhead. Mm-hmm. And they run away, and
I guess that red hair is kind of the main contrast up to this point.
And so they're running away, and you end with the freeze frame with the red sepia on top of their faces,
and they don't look happy in the final freeze frame. Although they did, as they're running through the hall, holding hands, they're smiling at each other, and then you get this freeze frame at the end, and they're not.
You know what it reminds me of? The ending of The Graduate.
Okay.
So The Graduate, where Dustin Hoffman marries the girl, but he had an affair with the girl's mom, and they're happy. They're running towards the bus to get on the bus. They're joyous. They get on the bus. They sit down in the very back seat, or maybe it's a taxi. I can't remember. And the joy just kind of runs off their faces, and they look away, and they realize maybe this wasn't the best decision. Reminded me so much of The Graduate.
And I couldn't see. I mean, they were both in the same state, Gemma and Mark, before he says, go outside the door. I mean, why didn't he go out with her? And I mean, I know it was as any, but everything had gone to plan up to that point.
Because he loved Helly R.
Well, right, yeah.
Yeah.
But Helly came along a few seconds later. Like, he could have just gone out the door with Gemma.
Yeah.
He sent her out. She transitioned back to Audi and realized what's going on.
And she can't get in.
Can't open the door, right. But Helly came along at that point. He could have already been gone before Helly got there and chose not to.
Yeah.
Which, of course, season 3, we got to set up season 3. And that was the twist that you knew was coming, but you didn't know where it would land.
So my questions are, Corbell, Patricia Arquette.
Cobell, yeah.
Cobell, not Corbell.
Harmony Cobell.
Harmony Cobell was supposed to be in charge of the severed floor when this miraculous event happened.
Uh-huh.
So would she have come in with a Kier animatronic and had a little repartee there?
Mm-hmm.
Or was this just designed, did Milchick design this for himself?
Mm.
So how much of the celebration was Milchick's idea versus structured from Lumen? Because everything is structured from Lumen, right?
Yeah, but he was also, before Cobell left, he was still there, right?
He was.
And so
he was like the assistant.
Right, so the waffle party was him.
Yeah.
All the other little weird things were him.
Well, he implemented them. We don't know if he was responsible.
Sure. Yeah, but I mean, he was already the one implementing that kind of stuff. So
Yeah.
it makes sense that he would still be doing it now.
But if you remember, Cobell said, I'm the one supposed to be there when this happens.
Okay.
So that happened earlier. So
I'm waiting for Hallmark to come out with this greeting cards. When he opened up the card that Kier was holding when he got to the room, and you open it up and there's a waffle. It opens up like a 3D card. So I'm waiting for Hallmark to come out with those.
Oh man,
the waffle card.
It's just crazy, ain't it? Mm. It just is. It's bizarre. This show,
some of it will never make sense.
Yeah. Again, it's, to me, David Lynch doing The Office. That's what. Oh man.
Well, I'll tell you, it was just off the side here. Melissa sat down with me 2 or 3 episodes. Like, I was just watching, and she sat down and watched with me, and we started. It got into some things, and she's like, "So what happened here? What does this mean? Why is it?" And I was like, "You know what? This would take me an hour to halfway explain where we are." So, I mean, it's definitely something you can't just jump into.
One of the things I read was all the rooms that have been revealed, that we've seen the names on the rooms, those are actual names of cities that are close to bodies of water.
Okay.
So there's the body of water, the idea of coming out of water as a rebirth. So each of these innies are reborn outies. There's that. There's just so much to unpack. So,
yeah.
But I want to rewatch. I want to binge it from top to bottom and see what I pick up. But
I'm sure you'd see more knowing what's coming.
Yeah. Rank this 2 seasons of Severance.
Compared to what?
Well, just stuff that
nothing
you
like it.
No, there's nothing like it. How in your list of favorite TV that you've watched in the past 5 years since we've been doing this show, where does it fall?
Maybe top 10. But I'll say it's as interesting as it was. I think it was more just because it was something completely different. The acting was terrific. And I think especially, that really came out last night. I think the last few episodes when Milchick is being scolded of his verboseness, and I loved, what was it, devour, not fecundity, but anyway, he used some big words to tell the guy to leave.
Yeah.
Leave him alone. I won't say it on here. But that whole track of, that whole line of dialogue and everything was interesting. The way they developed the characters this season. I mean, obviously that was part of the whole show, was to see more of the Audi and meet more people. But I really liked how they developed the characters this season.
Adam Scott has got to be nominated for Best Lead. This show's got to be nominated for the next round of Emmys. I mean, it's really incredible. I think it's going to be a very influential show. The visual style is incredible. And again, as he's running through, covered in blood to try to get to Gemma, to get to the dark corridor, to go down the elevator, it's very reminiscent of the first run through in season 2, episode 1, as he's trying to find Gemma. And there's so many parallels. So
yeah, and like I said, there's so much to unpack. We know now why there's a goat farm in one of the rooms, but
mammalian nurturing. So
yeah,
I can't
it was
think.
yeah. But I still don't think that we don't know everything about that. Like you said, all the rooms. And what about Salt Neck? I mean, that was a Lumen factory. Seemed to be they created ether. What was the point of all that? I mean, we got a taste of that, but not near the whole story of Sissy and the guy that she borrowed the truck from and their little romance. I mean, there's a lot that could be expanded on in this.
Yeah, and we still don't know where the factory is located. Have no idea what the state is. The license plate says PE.
Okay.
Yeah. Crazy.
I watched a little bit of behind the scenes, and it was, I think they were talking about Salt Neck. Salt Neck was some city in Newfoundland or something like that they found. But anyway.
It's bizarre.
Yeah. But
highly entertaining.
Very good.
Highly recommended. So, okay, we're going to wrap it. We're going to sever ourselves on out of here. Thanks for listening. We'll see you next time around.